All right, so in this video, let's briefly discuss what coroutines bring to the table and why we might want to use them instead of threads. So the main problem with threads is that threads are resource intensive, okay? So it takes a lot of resource to start a thread, stop a thread, coordinate between threads, and so on. Meanwhile, coroutines are lightweight threads, and in fact are very, very, very lightweight threads. So we have a program where we start about 1 million coroutines and there is no problem on the memory, right? If you try to start even maybe 1,000 threads, your program will run out of memory, will crash. But coroutines are very, very lightweight, so you can start as many as you like with no overhead, with no problem. Okay, so basically coroutines use thread pools. A thread pool is, let's think about it as a bunch of threads that you can use whenever you like, right? So you have a small coroutine, which is a small unit of execution. Then you assign it to a thread. When that coroutine finishes, the thread is put back in the thread pool, ready to be reused by another coroutine that needs it. Okay, so they reuse threads. They use very lightweight functionalities, so you can start as many as you like with absolutely no impact on performance. Now, they simplify greatly async code. Okay, so callbacks and synchronization are very, very easy to use in coroutines, and actually they make parallel programming look very much like sequential programming. So you can have you can start a coroutine in your code and immediately access variables and methods in your program without any overhead, and that is how easy it is to do callbacks from a coroutine to your program. And synchronization is also very useful. You have just 2 or 3 methods that you can use to synchronize between coroutines without any overhead, whereas threads are very complicated. And if you've ever worked with threads, you know what a headache they can be, especially when you start a lot of them and need to synchronize between them. And they have a very, very simple syntax. So they have a few concepts that we will discuss shortly that fit together very nicely. And once you understand those concepts, they are very easy to use to start coroutines and execute code in parallel. Now they can pause and resume at any time, and a coroutine is not bound to a thread. A thread is simply a place to execute the coroutine, but the coroutine itself can be stopped at any time and restarted at any time. So in that way, they are very lightweight and can be reused as many times as you like. Now let's go through a few basic concepts of coroutines, and here I'm just going to list them, and then in the next few videos we're going to go through them one by one and practice them in our application to see how we can actually use them and how they perform. So the first idea is of a scope. Okay, the scope is what creates and runs coroutine. It provides lifecycle events. So things like pausing a coroutine, stopping, canceling a coroutine is handled by the scope. Now the context is a concept that is very tied to the scope. So the scope itself provides a context, and a context is simply the state of a coroutine. Okay, so it provides some variables, some functionality that you can use in your coroutines. So that is the context. The scope and context are very tightly tied together. Now, suspending functions are basically functions that can be run in a coroutine, or can be suspended, as we call them. So basically they provide a functionality that you use to run in parallel, that you want to run in parallel. Next up, we have jobs. Now, a job is basically a handle on a coroutine, and you can use a job to access lifecycle methods of a coroutine. Okay, so when you create a coroutine in a certain way, which we will see when we get to that lecture, you will create a job, and a job can be used to, let's say, cancel the coroutine if you so choose later on. Next up, we have a deferred, which is basically a coroutine that returns a result But since a coroutine runs in parallel, you cannot return the result immediately. The result can only be returned when a coroutine finishes its execution. So that means we need a deferred, which is basically a future result of a coroutine. And what you can do with a deferred is basically tell the program to wait for the outcome of that coroutine when you are at a point where you need that result. Okay, so that is the deferred. Next up, we have a dispatcher, which simply says that a dispatcher starts coroutines on threads. So it manages a certain number of threads, and whenever a coroutine needs to run, it will assign it to a thread and run it on that particular thread. So dispatchers, we have just a few of them that are more or less suited for certain tasks. And we will talk about dispatchers and what dispatchers are suited for which tasks. We will talk about that when we reach that video. And finally, we have error handling. Now, error handling is kind of self-explanatory. It basically provides a way to handle any errors that might come up in a coroutine. Okay, so we have different ways of handling the errors based on how we might start a coroutine, and we have a whole video to talk about error handling for our coroutines. So that's it. These are the major concepts of coroutines. Of course, there are some details about each of these that we need to talk about. But these are, as you can see, there's not too many of them. I've listed here about 7. There's probably 1 or 2 more that we will discuss later on that are very related to one of these basic concepts. So there's not too many. They kind of fit together really nicely like a puzzle, so that you can, once you understand the basic idea of coroutines, you can easily play around with all these concepts to give you the functionality that you require. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start to create our first coroutine, and then we'll talk about what that means and how we achieve what we are trying to do. Open up your IntelliJ IDEA, and let's go ahead and create a new project. Now, the way we're going to create a new project is we're not going to create a Kotlin project, we're going to create a Gradle project. The reason for that is that coroutines aren't part of the basic default Kotlin functionality. They are a separate library. So we would need Gradle in order to be able to add that dependency to our project. So we're going to select Gradle here, and we're going to deselect Java and instead select Kotlin/JVM. Okay, so we want the Kotlin that runs on the Java virtual machine. Now I'm going to use 1.8. There might be some issues with other Java versions, so make sure you use 1.8 as well. And let's go ahead and click Next. Now give your project a name, whatever you like your project to be called. I'm just going to call this Coroutines Basics. Okay, let me put a space there. Now you can give whatever name you like here, it doesn't really matter. Now if you open up this artifact coordinates, you can edit these values as well. So you can put a package name here if you like, an artifact ID, version, whatever you like. For me, the default works just fine. So I suggest if you're just learning this, just leave them as they are and just click Finish. All right, so there we go. We have our project that is building in the background. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to add the coroutines dependency to our build.gradle so that we are able to use it in our code. So in order to do that, I'm going to open up the build.gradle file. And what we need to do, very similarly to how we add dependencies on Android, we need to add a dependency to our coroutines here inside the dependencies block. Luckily, this is very easy to do. Let's go right ahead and right-click anywhere on the file, click on Generate, then Add Maven Artifact Dependency. Okay, so here in this search box, we're going to search for coroutines. Okay, and then we should find the first one should be Coroutines Core. Now 1.3.1 is the latest at the time of recording of this video, so I'm going to use this particular library. I'm going to click Add. Now if any of that didn't work for you, go ahead and type out this compile code here, and that should be fine. You should have a pop-up box at the bottom here that just says that Gradle needs to rebuild the project. So Gradle will go ahead and download that library for us and add it to our dependency. So I'm going to click on Enable Auto Import so that this is done automatically for us. All right, so that is done for Gradle. Now, what I would like to do, I'm going to create a new file and start to build our project. So I'm going to open source, then open main, right-click on Kotlin, new Kotlin file, and I'm going to call this Hello World. Okay, and here I'm going to create the function main. All right, so inside this function, I'm going to do two things. So first, I'm going to launch a coroutine to print out the second half of my hello world string. And then in the main code, I'm going to print out the first half of the string. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a global scope. Okay, that should bring you a pop-up by the IDE, and make sure you select the Kotlin x.coroutines global scope, which will import the correct global scope for us. And I'm going to say .launch. Okay, so this is how we launch a very basic coroutine. And inside this coroutine, what I'm going to do, first I'm going to delay the execution for 1000 milliseconds, and that means 1 second. And then I'm going to print line the message world, okay, with an exclamation mark. So what this coroutine is going to do, it's going to launch in the background, it's going to delay for 1 second, and then it's going to print a message. Now, outside of the coroutine, but still inside our main function, we're going to print out a message. So I'm going to print line here. Actually, I'm just going to print, not print line. And I'm going to say hello, comma, space. Okay. And then what I would like to do here, I'd like to do thread.sleep for 2 seconds. I want to sleep this thread so that I give the coroutine a chance to finish, and then add the second part of our message here. So that is all we need to do. Let's go ahead and right click and click on Run Hello World KT. All right, so you can see that here we have the main program that prints out a hello world. Then the coroutine finishes its delay and returns with a print line world. That completes our message, and then the thread has finished sleeping, so it will come back and complete the program. So that is basically a very simple coroutine. We are launching it in the background, we are continuing with our program, we are waiting for 2000 milliseconds, that is 2 seconds, and meanwhile the coroutine will come back and print out the rest of our message. So to make that slightly more clear, I'm going to put 2 seconds here and 3 seconds for the sleep of the main thread, and let's go run again. So we see our hello message, then 2 seconds after we get the world, and 1 second after that the program finishes because this thread.sleep has finished as well. So very simple coroutine, just gives you an idea of how you might go about creating one. But of course, throughout the next few videos, we will go into a lot more detail about what each part of this code means, how we can create more coroutines in a more complex way, and we will see more options on how we can run them and what we can do with them. But for now, that is all for this video.